Hey there. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, my name is Jonathan. I go by Narita, and I just want to make a video and take this moment to talk about my musical journey so far. We just came into the year 2022, and yeah, I just thought it'd be a very interesting time to kind of reflect and think back on where I kind of started with my own kind of musical journey. I made a video series about my time with a band called The Absence. Uh, that was from like about 2006 to 2018. And yeah, so that's its own thing. And I just kind of want to still kind of look back and reflect, but also kind of look forward. And I guess I could use this video as a time capsule or just for anyone who's interested to kind of think about like, okay, like what have I learned during my time as a solo artist, I guess, and how I can envision going into the future, my dreams and my goals. Hopefully, it works out if I see this video in the future. But yeah, so I wrote down a little list. Um, I'll explain. But yeah, I think just to start it off, just kind of backtracking a little bit. So I kind of left ways with the band in about around mid to late 2018, and I was broken. I was. I mentioned it in the series, but I think it's when I left. In a way, it was very liberating. I could say that now, and I think I maybe even knew that back then, but maybe not really. Maybe I was too blind. I was too hurt by everything that just kind of happened, and at that fresh moment, I guess. And same thing, I could look back at the band now and be like, oh wow, I enjoyed my time with it. But no, of course there were some hard times and some struggles, but yeah, really, as when I really kind of decided to kind of take the leap. I didn't even know if I was still gonna do music, but I just knew like I just don't think I can be in the band anymore, respectfully. And so what happened happened. Peace and love to everybody that was there. Um, but yeah, I think for a long time it again, just to recap, I felt like I built a foundation with like setting up a studio with my bandmates, having this repertoire of music and live shows with the band that we did. And yeah, I felt like everything just kind of, everything that I kind of was a part of and I feel, if I may, like helped kind of build up, just kind of like crumbled down. So I think it was just really hard for me in the beginning to even kind of think about playing music. I actually did end up getting a guitar around the time, and actually I'll just show it right now. Sorry about the jam. A beautiful Epiphone Les Paul Traditional Pro 2. Lovely. I got her Zoe, by the way. Really nice, full, warm sounds that it gives off. I really like the neck. The colors are very interesting, very light, very appealing to my nature, I think. It has like, I'm geeking out a little, but it has like I could switch between humbucker and like single coil modes. So I just kind of lift them up, I push them back down. It has a boost. But yeah, I bought the guitar just with a friend actually who I used to work with in Little Caesars. Yeah, sorry, just memories of the place there. But I remember talking to one of my coworkers and kind of being like, we always used to talk about like instruments and stuff, music. And I remember we were just chatting about guitars and I was like, oh man, I love guitars and I love music, but I don't know, like, and I think with the experience that I had, which I thank you, Esteban, for allowing me to play your guitars, because a lot of the times I played his guitars. He was in the absence. I got some from him, but yeah, I think for whatever reason, I guess maybe it just didn't always feel, something just didn't feel right, I guess. Maybe with the neck specifically, I felt like it was really thin for me at the time. And yeah, when I would talk to my friend, he would just mention like, yeah, dude, if you want to go to check out the store at the Guitar Center, we could just try out different things, see if you like anything, just check it out. And yeah, one day after work, he's like, all right, yeah, let's go. Yeah, he drove me over there. Um, and yeah, I didn't really know what to expect. I was just like, okay. I remember thinking I wanted to get a Fender, a Telecaster, or I think like a Mustang or a Jaguar. I can't remember, like with the off-body shape. And reading about them, I'm like, oh, they look interesting. But when I played them, they were nice at the time. But it just didn't feel right, I guess. And I just saw this one out of the corner of my eye. I was like, I'll try it out. Like, I wasn't really thinking. I never really even thought I would get a Les Paul. Epi or otherwise. But when I plugged it in, and I think the sound just sounded, without geeking out too much, and really in the end it's just like whatever guitar you're able to get, like you just work with it. But when I really took the time to kind of like sit down and listen, be like, oh, like this is what these guitars sound like. And when I got to pick this one up, it just sounded warm, it sounded beautiful. I love that you could switch between the different tones on the knobs, and it just felt nice. It just felt right. It just felt like, oh, like, even if I didn't play completely too much at the beginning when I first got it, I did play. But like when I did, it just felt like, it just clicked, I guess. I don't know how to explain it. But I remember at the time I was really excited. I'm like, oh my God, like, I just felt, as cheesy as it sounds, a connection with the guitar. But yeah, so this was the first guitar that I bought. And it was very inspiring at the time. But yeah, I think it's weird because I just remember kind of not feeling completely inspired about even playing music. I don't even remember, that's the thing. I remember just kind of feeling like lost, I guess. But I knew for sure I wanted to kind of like, with the time that I had, that I was investing into the band, now that was kind of free, it's like, okay, well, what do I do now? So a lot of that really kind of went into what I wanted to kind of build a better foundation for myself. I actually used that time to study. I went to school online. Later down the road, I eventually got another job too, moving on from Little Caesars. That's a little bit more ahead. But I just used that time to kind of solidify myself more and be like, okay, like this is what I'm doing. Kind of really a lot of mental organizing too, kind of planning out the foundation of my life, I guess. There's still things that I'm working at, even at the time of this video, but it really was something that I want to kind of like be more aware of and be like, okay, I want to keep doing the things that I love to do, which is art, like visual art, creativity. But I think I love the way it resonates too. Sorry, but yeah, it was I guess it was a lot of me just kind of like readjust myself basically. But two really important people at the time were was my partner Alba and my friend Martin. Alba, as a lovely girlfriend, has just to this day continued to provide a really great sense of compassion, warmth, understanding, a lending ear. We sometimes get crazy or butt heads with each other, but it's still like, she really helped me out a lot emotionally just during that time, even if it wasn't always music, but just like just trying to be a little bit more aware of life. So and I could go on and on into little details, but I think just the idea that like she was just a very big inspiration and motivator and support for me. Again, since then to like now, continues to be so. Thank you. And yeah, and then my friend Martin from Betty's Mustache, because he played during the last year that I was with the band, and I don't know. I think we just always connected when we talked, I guess. And I don't know what it was, but I think I just always really admired and appreciated his friendship and almost his very brotherly way of being. And just throughout times, like we wouldn't always meet up. And it's funny because this was around maybe 2018, 2019, but we would chat every once in a while. And he would just always kind of like pump me up and inspire me. And when I started getting more into music, actually kind of like, I don't know what it was, but little by little, I kind of started picking up the guitar and be like, let me just work some stuff out. And little by little, I'm like, oh, okay, I could do this, I could do that. I started kind of writing songs, just very basic, but it's like, okay, I was working on that songwriting aspect, I guess, that I wasn't always aware of. I'm trying not to make this video too long, but there were times where I eventually got into recording stuff on my laptop, which I bought. I can't remember what year, but when I started kind of getting back into the music, I'm like, oh, maybe I should try recording my samples, my demos. And yeah, I invested by looking at videos on YouTube. Sanjay, I think was this one guy's name, but he did a lot of videos on just equipment. And yeah, I just kind of like, thank you, Sanjay, was really inspired to just kind of dive into it again. I don't know what it was. I just remember also like, obviously something felt like it was missing, something felt left out, but it felt natural. It felt like I wanted to play music. Again, I didn't really, well, reflecting on my other videos, like music wasn't something I really imagined that I would be doing when I was younger, but it just kind of happened. And it was something that I just kind of grew to really, really love. And I guess, yeah, with the time off that I had, somehow it just kind of pulled me back in without me even really consciously thinking about it. It just happened. But yeah, I think I was having a little bit of trouble with the recording and the tempos and the feeling, and it's like, I don't know. But there were a lot of times whenever I was feeling like that I would talk with Martin, and he would just always encourage me, almost even kind of in a way, from what I remember, kind of approaching it with a punk attitude and just like, just do it. It's just like, as he would say, challenge accepted. It's like, it was hard, but yeah, like if I was having trouble, just like, if the notes were coming out perfect, just go for it. Like that's, I could always go back and redo them. And yeah, even now, like a lot of my recordings aren't like perfect. I should try to practice a little bit more with tempo and metronome. I could do it, but I should practice more. But I think it really helped me to at first just kind of do it with like not worrying about it. It's just like, all right, here are the songs. Here's the structure. Let me at least write them down, so that I know what the songs are like. Eventually, I would want to kind of go back to some of the songs I've recorded so far and kind of really formalize them a little bit more. But at least for the time being, it was just that kind of that initial hurdle of like, whether it was self-doubt, maybe. But getting over that hurdle of not feeling like, without sounding cheesy again, like enough, or like, oh, I don't know if I could do this. Like, just do it. Don't worry if it's not perfect. It's more about the idea of getting it out there. And as Martin would say, unleashing the beast. But yeah, he really helped me kind of like move past the sense of self-doubt that I had. So I thank him a lot for that too, especially during like the first few years after the ban. And yeah, I wrote it down just as a note, but the idea also that kind of going into like 2019, about to go into 2020, I also had time to play video games too, a little bit more than I used to. And I think I just wanted to mention that because there were a lot of times, I think Final Fantasy 15 was a very big inspiration. I played Nier Automata. There were a few other games that I played, but the music in it, the graphics, the storytelling, that really inspired me too in just creating, and also with like the idea of storytelling. It was something I was already trying to incorporate with like the last few years in the band, but with like speaking with people, the audience during our shows, it was something I really wanted to get more into, and more into the idea of like what are we trying to express. And as I was writing the songs, as I was kind of developing the idea of like, oh, how would I want to approach it live? That was something I really want to take into consideration. And yeah, so sometimes when I wrote songs, sometimes titles will come to me after. Sometimes stories will be like, oh, like I could write something, I could lead into a song with this pretense, the story. I would build something sometimes, very rarely, but I would try to build like stories in my head revolved around the songs that I would play afterwards. That's just the way that I approached it. But yeah, I think just during that time also video games were very big. Even support for me too. Sometimes it can be addicting, but with anything. But they were just, I think I wrote it down for a reason, and that being the reason that it was just, it really meant something, and it really provided maybe even a sense of relief outside of friendships, outside of like what I felt like was missing. It just provided that extra inspiration and kind of like escape in a way, a healthy one for the most part. But yeah, it did, and it continues to do. So as I've played quite a few games on the PS4. That has been a very good era for me, and video games. But anyways, let me put this down. I remember, talk about the chat. Going into 2020, I don't, obviously a lot of people didn't see it coming, but COVID happened. And it was funny because during that time I was already kind of in my own kind of quarantine with like writing songs, working on school, and I'm not gonna get into everything, but it was everything I've been going through from then till now has still been a challenge with me trying to balance my life and like my own creative endeavors, but also my responsibilities, my relationships. It's still hard, but it's something I've been wanting to kind of be getting better at. But it was definitely a part of also the struggles that came with just being creative and finding ways to integrate that into my life without it completely taking over as it sometimes has. Get some water. That's loud. But yeah, I think so quarantine happened, COVID. I was already kind of within my own world in a way. So to be honest, it really wasn't, for me personally, it obviously was a struggle with my relationships, but it really gave me just even a little bit more time to refine what it was that I was doing. I've written so many more songs. Since departing the band, some stuff just came to me. Some stuff came through inspiration from effects. I eventually got a new amp. I'm not gonna show it right now, but it's a Vox 50 Cambridge. A really nice little small amp, but it's really, really great. I ended up, just to share some more, actually, I ended up getting a telly. The neck, actually, maybe the other telly I got last time was the one I tried when I was getting the Zoe, was a little, the Les Paul was a little bit different. And maybe it was just after years of playing with this one too, because I got this around 2021, I think. So still kind of quarantine, but anyways, I just felt like, because actually when I was like gonna start playing shows, I'm like, oh, I need like a backup guitar in case of anything, and somehow I dug it. It has a really nice single coil sound, not thin, kind of bluesy. I don't even play that much blues, but like for single notes and for like heavier lead kind of stuff, yeah, it just sounds really good. I really enjoy this, and I've surprisingly written a good amount of ambient songs on this too. With this little pedal is a slow pedal by Walrus. Ambient dreamscapes galore. This, yeah, it's just atmospheric love. I'm already kind of into dreamy atmospheric music anyways, and this just kind of adds like these different, I don't know if it's the right terms, but like overtones and different like just reverbs and delay. It's very ethereal, which kind of goes in line with the kind of music that I think I kind of write anyways. But yeah, sometimes that the pedal itself would inspire me to write certain things. I eventually got another guitar. This 2021, a Epiphone SG body. I don't even know what kind it is. Same thing, it has like single coil humbucker options down here. It just has this nice feel just throughout the neck and the body. It's really light. It's very fast. It's a little too fast sometimes. I've gotten used to it just a little bit, but I think it's just kind of inspired me to like play more with chords and stuff, heavier sounding stuff, and heavier with other stuff like this Eros pedal by Walrus as well. I love the artwork, I'm not gonna lie, that was probably one of the first things that attracted me to it. But yeah, I'm still getting the hang of playing with it, but also there's like heavier effects settings on the Vox amp as well. I got a fuzz pedal. That's about it. But still, like, sometimes these things just kind of helped me explore sound and what it was capable of. That one I didn't get until this year, but sorry, let me adjust myself. But even then, like sometimes I can't always say I know where the music comes from. I know a lot of times I'm just playing, I'm just practicing. I've learned to practice a little bit more chords, a little bit more, not music theory, but a little bit more of my way around the fretboard. Just kind of exercises to get my fingers moving a little bit more, and exploring like what can my fingers do, like from finger picking to kind of emulating that with like picking with the pick, but I don't have it, but it's like a little red actually. I like this little gem Dunlop pedals, the jazz pedals. They're really jazz picks. They're really small compared to other picks, but they're a little thicker. Thank you, Kevin, who introduced me to them. They're really nice for tremolo or vibrato picking, actually. And I think they just go really nice because I play a little soft. I've noticed, but this adds a little bit of weight, I think, to my way of playing. So there's still that softness, but it's just a little bit clearer. That's just me. And for anyone who likes to know, I really like playing with NYXL strings by D'Addario. Those are really nice. I don't know. I just feel like I really got comfortable with them. I play on 9s on my Telly, which is called Foxy, and on my SG, which I call Twilight, sometimes Twilight Beast. And I play with 10s on Zoe, the Les Paul. Same thing. Maybe it's just me, but adding to that warmth, adding to kind of like the bends and like the very fast leads on the single coil and the SG. But point being, just exploring more and more into sounds, into tones. Try not to get too lost, but during the time I've really been able to kind of really explore the guitar and be like, oh wow, like I didn't know I could do this, or like again being hit by inspiration and be like, oh okay, like I can't explain it, but it's just I just want to emphasize that sense of exploration and that creativity and that freedom to explore that, which I think is one of the biggest boons that I was able to get from taking the time to not just focus on myself musically, but just in general, and kind of like I think just kind of like ground myself a little bit more with like job and responsibilities. I still need to do it more so, but it just really helped. And music, just from the songs that I've written, to the titles and the concepts of how I want to play, how I want to present them, it's just been a journey. It just has. And it's been lovely. It's been beautiful. Yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of beat bopping across different themes. There's no structure to this. There's a little structure, but it's just finding my way. But and again, these are just thoughts, reflections on the last few years. We're still kind of not really in quarantine, at least not as strict as it was before. But during around mid to late 2001, I actually had the chance to play 3 shows as well. Because aside from playing music, I was actually still able to partake in community organizing and events with Acela Arts Festival, which is like a group of different community members that help set up community events in not just with the Acela event, Southeast LA, but a lot of people within that collaborative, for the lack of a better word, and individuals that help just promote the arts and local arts and just the beauty and the benefits of it. But yeah, aside from me continuing to be able to do that work, working with State Gallery, working with Southgate Park and Rex, and other people who have been involved with the arts, I think that also kind of kept me connected to just creativity, and not just my own, but people around me too. Just a little quick note, I also did a lot of live music photography with my girlfriend Alba during the 2019, maybe heading into 2019 more or less. But it's like, again, even if I consciously, I think I obviously did, but even if I didn't want to, like, I was still there in the world of music, as it kind of like kept me wrapped around it, I guess. But I just wanted to mention um, how even performing has been different. It's like, oh wow, the first time I actually played for my girlfriend's family just a little bit before I actually hit my first show. What I would consider my first show with Scylla, collaborative, but because I played quite a few shows with a band, but I've never played one solo. So already, even with the first one, knowing like, oh wow, like I'm up here by myself on this stage. It's just, and it was just me and the guitar. My thoughts, my words, my hopes, my dreams. Maybe that's too grand, but it was crazy. I was like, oh wow, like as soon as I hit the stage the first time, it's like it really kind of asked me to like really consider like, oh wow, like what am I doing? Like what? I had this whole idea of what a show kind of was. And I feel like a lot of the things I actually made a video talking about like, oh, tips for performing live. And I think a lot of them still hold true, but there were definitely a lot of things that came into my mind of like, oh, like how do I interact since I'm like the only person on the stage? What is it that I'm trying to express with the music? Even if I felt like I had answers before, it kind of reinforced and kind of submitted the questions into my mind and continues to do so as I consider it now. But they were fun, really great learning experiences, and almost an invitation to keep looking for more. And yeah, without maybe taking too much time and rambling too much, but I think that kind of naturally leads like where I want to go now. With it being 2022, Omicron just hit. Things are just tricky. They just happen for a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And for artists and musicians, for real. Everybody has been affected a certain way. But as we head into the future, I think musically, well, more than anything, I want to keep grounding myself in life and build a foundation. I'm not gonna get too deep into it now, but build a foundation where I could continue to provide for myself, my loved ones, and keep pursuing creativity at the same time. I would love to play with other musicians. I don't know if maybe setting up a band. Maybe I'm a little scarred, but the idea of like playing with other people, because there's something beautiful about like communicating and bouncing off ideas with other musicians and artists. It's just not, it's different. It just is, and it's beautiful. There's real beauty in doing stuff by yourself too, but I would love to jam out with people in the future. I would love to play more shows. Might be a little tricky right now at this time, but that's something I want to continue doing. I want to go into more electronic based music too, something I really loved. And I've incorporated here and there, but sneaking that in there too. Looking at maybe other studios to work with, other interviews that I want to do with other musicians and artists. I don't know. It's that's what I have written down. That's what I have in my mind. I want to keep inspiring. I want to keep being inspired. I want to do my best to do whatever I feel I can with the voice that I have, even if it is through just music. It doesn't always have to be words, but through notes, feelings, emotions, memories, desires, fears, hopes, dreams. That's on my own to-do list, and I have an idea. But anyways, yeah, we'll see where everything goes. I'm gonna keep doing my best to make it happen to the extent that I would like to do it. Much love to everyone that has been a part of my life and my journey so far. My family, friends, loved ones, people I've met, and we've carried on in our own ways. But yeah, I think that's something to cheesy again. If there's anything I would like to maybe impart is that yeah, even if you think things just kind of crumble and you don't know how anything can go on. Obviously, it's different for everybody with respect, but even if it feels like something can be broken, like you can fix it again and again, as John Cho, as Spike Spiegel said in the Cowboy Bebop live remake. You know what the cool thing, you know what the good thing about losing your life is you can build a new one. Yeah, we'll see where it goes. Stuff like, it's the Space Cowboy.